Let's talk about the Pixar movie Soul. There are some things that I'd like to illuminate, good and the other word. First things first, I'm a jazz musician, fan of Pixar, and have followed their amazing achievements. I also know people who work on this film. Visually, the animation is amazing. Pixar set the standard for 3D animation and raised their bar on this production. The detail of human anatomy, movement, hair, the detail of New York City, the lighting, all that stuff is incredible. The other cool thing was the juxtaposition of 2D animation inside a 3D atmosphere. This was impressive. Now let's start with the title of the film. When you say soul and you're black and from the jazz tradition, this comes to mind. People expressing personality, deep emotion and feeling, joy, uplifting, the mutual understanding of social political plight, self-respect, ethnic pride, and of course, love. If you're from a different cultural disposition, maybe your definition of soul is the technical personification of life, or expressing your inner feelings to someone. Who we are beyond our bodies. Your interpretation may vary based on your religious beliefs. You can do a movie on whatever you want, but if you use jazz, you should be aware of the colloquial meaning of the word soul. If you understood what soul means in the context of music and jazz, this movie could have taken a different direction. Packaging is something. Now, let's talk about some music-related scenes in the movie. Let's start with the scene where Joe is auditioning. Normally, when you get to an audition, there's some music waiting for you. If there's no music, you play something you all know, like a standard or a blues. The vamping on a pedal point could be an aspect of the audition experience. I've been playing in bands for over 30 years, and your audition depends on you learning and playing the book. In the same scene, when Joe goes into the zone, they got it all wrong. If you are playing on the highest of levels with other musicians on a high level, not that high, come on, not that high. The high level I'm speaking of is represented on many albums. Here are a few that come to mind. The zone is the spiritual connection that is happening on the bandstand between the musicians. In the zone, a musician's choices are guided by the musical vibrations, a collective energy, and musical context. Not zoning out in your own world. The essence of jazz is the collective participation of the musicians and audience. You would not get the gig by going into your own world and not listening to the band. Now here is something that the film shines a light on. Being a jazz musician is not economically viable. The film got this part correct. Unfortunately, the truth is, being a performing artist is one of the most economically challenging things to do, especially without selling out. Mainly because there's little or no investment in it. By the masses, by pop culture, and of course, the pressure to be popular. The truth in Pixar Soul is that being a jazz musician is full of disappointment and rejection. Joe's character is forced to take a job teaching middle school band because he can't support himself as a jazz musician, which is also echoed by the character's mom. The artist struggle is a common fear for parents whose kids pursue the arts. In real life, top musicians struggle to support themselves and their families playing. There are only a handful of jazz musicians that can support themselves by performing and recording only. Even the musicians playing at the half note, in real life, that's the Village Vanguard, still have to teach, take care of kids, walk dogs, do hair, wait tables, drive a lift, donate blood, volunteer for medical trials, collect bottles, sell weed or Mary Kay or Melaleuca, play Sunday service, do a YouTube channel. Okay, I'm getting carried away. Real talk, they definitely have to teach or have a family that helps support their artistic endeavors. Now I'd like to take you on a trippy ride into the subconscious, where we all have been. Some of us are there right now. Some of us have been stuck there since this pandemic without any drugs. Let's meet Moonwind. Sorry, not that one, this one. The film does a great job of showing how souls lose their way, and Moonwind helps them reconnect to themselves. Freeing the hedge fund manager from his obsession, that's a good one. A cool pivot could have showed the hedge fund dude start a network of jazz venues and pay cats livable bread on the gigs. Wait a minute. That sounds a bit familiar. Arts organizations surviving on raising money and donations from financial BSDs? Oh, just thinking out loud. So Pixar consulted jazz musicians on this movie. As viewers, we don't know what things the musicians were consulted on. Even if the advising was spot on, things always get missed. Maybe they asked Herbie Hancock what tie he wore at the Village Vanguard. Maybe they asked Jonathan Batiste about his favorite food.
I'm telling you, these biscuits cold-blooded.
We don't know.
We don't know this.
Who know this?
This we don't know this.
You know this?
No, we don't know this.
Who know this? What I'm saying is, having great consultants doesn't mean your movie will be accurate. There was a movie that came out a few years ago about a jazz drummer. Maybe you heard of it? The director and composer reached out to me to give my professional input, feedback, and perform the drumming for the main character. Unfortunately, I was not able to do it. Ironically, it wouldn't have made a difference in the final product. Moving on, a significant place in the Black community is the barbershop. A place where community news, philosophy, and education take place. The film does an accurate caption of the visual aesthetic, dialogue, and music at the shop. I have a couple of issues with the underlying meanings in this scene. Before 22 and Joe enter the barbershop, they have an exchange about what Joe and the barber generally talk about. Joe states to 22, "We normally talk about jazz." This makes jazz seem insignificant to the ensuing barbershop address given by 22. If you are having a deep conversation about jazz, you can talk about everything from physics, philosophy, history, politics, ultimately life. Being knowledgeable of other topics informs your artistry, because to most jazz musicians, playing the music is a way of life. The viewers and Joe knew that 22 knew nothing about jazz. Joe could have made 22 talk about her experience with Mother Teresa or about anything else that she knew about. What was the writer's intention here? Joe could have said, talk about anything because everything is connected to jazz. Then whatever 22 says, it's relevant. Later in the scene, Joe's outlook on life is subordinate to number 22. Her monologue makes Joe appear to be self-centered while she is deeply philosophical. I didn't like how the shop looks at her like she's some kind of guru. She presents questions everyone asks themselves. You could have had everyone in the barbershop have a collective dialogue for this scene. This way, 22, could have learned about the life from everyone in the shop. The old man, the little kid, the mom, Paul the hater, not the other way around. I didn't like how Joe appears to be self-absorbed. Because Joe is focused on his craft, he can't be engaging. The fact that Joe and his barber only talk about jazz, that seems unrealistic. Now, backstage at the half note, this scene is not realistic. Joe is late and going hard at the band leader. Joe's long speech to Dorothea about his life's purpose being playing, that's Hollywood. When you accomplish a high level of musicianship, all is said in your playing. It is cool to express yourself, but when you're late and not yet in the band, yelling at the band leader won't help you. You probably would lose the gig. Something else is interesting. Dorothea's response. Aren't you an arrogant one? I guess you really are a jazz player. What? Man, I don't know what to say about that. That ain't cool. In summary, Pixar Soul was entertaining. The film has many great messages. Finding your spark, reconnecting to yourself, purpose, and just being happy. Those themes stand out. The story of the film could have been told without jazz entirely. This film is definitely not about jazz. It would have been cool for the story to delve deeper into the music and or the development of musician characters. There can never be enough jazz in the world. In the end, I'm happy to see Melanite animated characters and the employment of black musicians, actors, writers, and consultants. I'm looking forward to a 3D animated picture that showcases jazz and the excellence of the art form. I'm definitely up for that project. Thank you for watching the video. As always, I'll see you at the gig.
Stop what you're doing. Okay. You about to ruin the vibe we be brewing. It's a good thing. Okay. Keep pushing. I want a biscuit. I need it right now. I want a biscuit. Oh, let me tell you how.